right, who wants to hear about high-octane adventures and the latest and greatest on the motor scene? It's time to rev it up with John and Jess on Joy 1340.
Welcome back to Rev It Up with John and Jess, coming at you at Joy 1340 AM and 98.7 FM. Thank you guys for coming down to the studio. I have to apologize to the people that John isn't here right now. He's caught in traffic, or so he says. So I'm just going to wing it by myself. Today we have Ben and Jessica. I can say Scott
Can you
Schneider.
say it though?
Can I though? It's a long one. Scott Schneider of Never Ending Cycles in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Let me say, congratulations on your marriage. Can you give me the who, what, why, and when, and where was it, and what'd you do?
Do you want to tell her why?
Well, she's a really good employee, and I figured I should just keep her around.
Oh, yeah.
No, you talk about that.
Okay. Well, we got married July 1st,
Yes.
so it'll be a week tomorrow. Up in Elkhart Lake. Actually,
Nice.
it's our happy place up there. We fell in love with Road America a few years ago and decided that we would just invite all of our close friends and family to come and join us in our happy place. And so we got married at the Shore Club in Elkhart Lake. And it was an amazing day.
And
it
the
was
weather
perfect.
was nice, wasn't it?
It was balmy, but it was wonderful.
Balm
Yeah.
is better than rain, if you ask me.
We
so
don't disagree. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. Did you guys take any time off, or is it like strictly?
We did
the
actually
grind?
take a couple days off. It was like an extended family reunion because the party started on Friday and didn't finish until Monday with my mom's surprise 70th birthday party. So we just took a couple more days after that to just relax. We went from Elkhart Lake to Lake Geneva, so we were lake hopping. But yeah, and then we have been trying to re-enter the shop this week. Very tired and groggy and a little bit wandery, but starting to get things done again.
Tough to get motivated when you finally get some time off. Then it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
why do I push so hard?
Wait,
again?
well, there's that. And why do I get up before 9?
Right. And refresh my memory. How did you guys meet? Did you guys know each other before you started dating?
Yeah, we were neighbors, a couple houses down, but our kids were always kind of the same thing, went to the same church, and so knew each other for about 15 years maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, congratulations again, you guys.
Thank you.
Wish you nothing but the best. So tell me about Never Ending Cycles. How did you get started? How long ago was it? What is it that you guys do?
So we got started accidentally. I was building a bike for a friend, and COVID happened, and just like, wow, so that fizzled out. So I sold it and bought another one, built that, sold that, and then maybe 3 or 4 bikes later, I just I kept it for sale, and people would call and say, hey, I'd like that, but I can't. Or I said, it's not available, we can build you one. And so that kind of exploded. COVID made it explode. There's no question about that. A lot of impulsive, I want something because I don't have anything to do.
Right.
So that took us to the place where I'm like, well, I can't. So let me back up. So we build vintage motorcycles, and we also do service and sales. So for those that don't know what we do. And all of our bikes are commissioned. So then after COVID started to fizzle out, builds started to fizzle out. So then we decided to do service, which has actually become our main revenue source now. So
Oh, okay.
we do, so we service all vintage bikes and Harleys, do some Harley stuff, but tires, engine rebuilds, everything in-house. So
It's been a very interesting niche because what we have found is people are kind of coming out of the woodworks. We live in Harleyville, and there's nothing against it. We own one, actually, and they're a fabulous motorcycle, but there's a whole world of people that don't own Harleys that have, a vintage Kawasaki that he bought when he was 16, and it's been sitting in his garage, and there's nobody that will work on them. We are the only shop in probably a 40, 50-mile radius that will actually work on a vintage motorcycle. And even Harley quite often won't work on something that's older than like 15 years old, and motorcycles last a really long time. They can be, ridden for forever if they're taken care of. And so it's been really fun and interesting to see this collective of people come out and go, oh my gosh, you can fix my motorcycle. It's been sitting in the garage for 5 years just collecting dust because I can't find anybody to help me.
Sure. And is that what you consider vintage, is 15 years and older, or how do you define vintage?
I would say probably anything in the 2000s and older,
Okay.
or in previous. So
Right.
there are certain things that we don't do. We don't get into. I'm not doing diagnostics of computer systems on newer bikes. I can do, and mostly just because I don't want to.
Sure. It's your shop.
Yeah. So there's only so much that I care to learn. But having said that, I've put body kits on a 2006, GSXR. So we do a lot of different stuff, and it's always trying to challenge myself, but there's kind of draw a line somewhere.
And we do tires as well on really any year bike we can do tires on. But when we're talking about resto mods, fabrication, engine work, they're pretty much all carbureted bikes.
Now, I saw that term resto mods on your guys' website. Can you tell me what a resto mod technically is?
So, there's different levels of restoration. There's, just a period correct restoration, which the bike looks like it's came off the floor. But then there's a concourse restoration, which is nut and bolt, everything. That's like the premium. If you saw a bike or a car roll across Barrett Jackson's floor, chances are if they're a concourse nut and bolt restoration, they're bringing huge money. The time and takes and the money to do that is very it's expensive. So the resto mod, I don't know, I describe our motorcycles, if you look at the bikes that we build, as I feel like it should have been an option on the showroom floor. Like, I want that one, gotta, pay a little more, but it's got that seat and it looks sportier or whatever. So that's kind of how I've built them. So a resto mod would be essentially a motorcycle restoration, but then some modern conveniences. Like, we have our own electrical systems. We put LED lighting on them, make them more sleek. So it's, and I'm sure there's a huge market for that with cars, obviously. And John, I'm sure, has seen, thousands of them where they're just not stock anymore, but they're like, wow, I wish they should have sold that in 75.
Yeah, that's like we're talking about putting air conditioner in my 75 Camaro.
Yeah.
When we
Right.
work, I'm like, hey.
That's kind of a resto mod. Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. And then we draw the line at, like, I shouldn't say I try to draw the line at certain things. If someone wants their bike completely changed, like it has two rear shocks and he wants to go to a single, like, there's stuff that I just don't really enjoy doing because, again, that would never have been an option on the showroom floor. And it's just, if you want a monoshock motorcycle, go buy one of those.
Sure.
So, but yeah, everything from paint to powder coat, which we do powder coat in house. Tires. There's not a point of the bike that's not touched. So.
Is it hard to get parts right now?
No, there's a lot of the stuff that we use for the resto mod piece are universal parts. But then there's certain bikes that are harder to get. Actually, the hardest bikes to get parts for are the mid-'80s, early 80s, and in the mid, because those were kind of like throwaway bikes. They didn't really stick around very long. So those are the harder ones to get. eBay is a gift because they have a lot of used, what are they called? New old stock.
Yeah.
So it's still new, but you pay a lot for it. But knock on wood, I haven't had a whole lot of problem finding stuff.
Now, have you built bikes your entire life, or is this something you got into, last couple of years? Like, what did you do prior to opening the shop?
No, I haven't built bikes my whole life, but I grew up on a farm, so we did all our own mechanics. I had numerous vehicles that I worked on. And then as a kid, I had a pool table full of Legos, and not sure if I am dating myself, but if you remember Micro Machines, those
I
tiny,
do.
yeah. So
Yes, the commercials.
yes, and so I had the boats, and I built like full harbors and marinas out of cardboard and painted them, and it was great.
Those were the days.
Yeah, and now fast forward to the bike stuff. It's kind of the same. Like I've got my Lego set with no directions, and that's putting the bike together. And then I've got my, design eye, and that's the paint and powder coat. And so it really is kind of made it like I'm creating something, rolling art. Especially if the bike doesn't run well, it looks great.
Right.
So, and then prior to that, I've never been a good employee. I'm really good at being my own boss.
Yeah.
So I owned a construction company years ago before I ever moved down here, and then I was a personal trainer for 7 years. Was a partner in a gym. So that all kind of took a turn, and in hindsight, I'm glad it did. And then Jess looked at me one day. She's like, "You're going to be doing this full time," and I'm like, "That's scary."
Gotta take that leap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the push you needed, huh?
Well, and I've always had this ability to see in somebody what their true capabilities are, and I saw that in Ben. And I too am an entrepreneur as well. And my design eye comes from years of hair and makeup, actually. But I grew up in a garage, in the 70s. My dad was 21 when I was born, I think. 20,
Okay.
yeah, something like that. And, it was the 70s. So he was building choppers for all of his friends in our garage. And I used to get in trouble because I got into the glitter, which was actually metallic flake that was supposed to go in the paint. And when you spilled that, it was, that was something to clean up. So I grew up around that. And so when Ben and I started, went from friendship to dating, I was like, "You like motorcycles? That's kind of cool."
I like motorcycles.
Hey, look
too.
who's here peeking through the window.
We're good. We don't need you.
Am I allowed to come in?
We figured it all out, John.
Oh, whatever.
You get the baby
That's not
headphones.
fair. Hi, how's it going? Congratulations.
Nice to
What is
see you.
This?
Well,
This is
thank
what I
you.
get kicked off.
Well,
Shush your
that's
mouth.
what you get for being late. You get the baby headphones.
Baby headphones. Put them on. Look at it. It's going to be small on his big fat head.
This looks
I'm
bad.
singing a song that I shouldn't be singing in my head.
This one?
Yes.
Hey,
Well, thank you for bringing up your background. I was going to ask you about that. Are you still doing your own entrepreneurial stuff, or are you guys just
Well, a
busy
tiny
with the
bit.
shop?
I became 51% owner of Never Ending Cycles.
51.
51, yeah.
And I've tried to quit numerous times.
now you're just an employee.
Sorry,
She won't
Pat.
let me.
She's not accepting your
And now that
resignation.
we're married, yeah, you're going nowhere.
Oh, man. You're getting ideas, aren't you?
Oh, I like the 51%.
Yes, 51. Well, we'll talk, Jess.
Right.
There's some good reasons
The
to
Jesses are
be
here.
a woman business owner. That's for sure, and unique and something that, like, let's face it, we're kind of living in a man's world. I'm great with it because since I was a kid, was just. I like hanging around with guys. So it was motorcycles, owning the business. I've always had an entrepreneur mindset. That too comes from my dad.
Boss babe.
Boss babe, yeah. My dad has been his own boss most of my life. And so he, I think one of our favorite moments with my dad actually is we were up in Elkhart Lake last year for Vintage Moto Fest, and we were leaving a restaurant, and my dad's from Chicago and Italian, doesn't live there anymore, but he turns to us and he goes, "You guys are living my dream."
That's like the highest compliment
We looked at
ever.
each other and we thought, okay, like, could we ask for anything more than to have my dad's blessing like
Oh, for
that?
sure.
So
That's really cool.
It's cool when family backs you up
yes,
and do whatever.
very cool.
Well, and so he's building his own KZ 750 twin, which is like a 74, 75, and he messaged me one day. He's like, "Yeah, I've been talking with the Wiseco Pistons, and I want to make pistons for this bike because I want to build it, but we got to do 13 sets." And I gave him your information. Do you mind if we just go through you? I'm like, no. So 6 weeks later, we get a box of 13 sets of pistons.
Really?
I'm like, yeah. So made just for that motorcycle, and that's the kind of stuff that he like he geeks out on, and
Yeah, he
it's-
does.
I would love that wish he lived closer.
Yeah.
So
That's
Now I
really
know
cool.
you built your own bike in the past couple of years, right? Because I saw pictures and you learned how to ride in the last couple of years. It's really cool. What
Yeah.
about you? What do you ride? And did you build
I
it?
don't ride. I hate motorcycles.
Stand up.
The Richard Rawling of motorcycles.
Yeah. I have a 05 Road King. That was kind of like the bike I used to use for everything. And I have a 79 BMW R65 Cafe Racer. I have an XS 650 Yamaha, which is my wicked stepchild, kind of just a rat bike that everyone seems to like the best, and a couple other ones. And then so we don't ride as. I think that's the thing. Like, oh, you got to ride all the time. Like,
Who's
no.
got the time to
Right,
ride?
right.
Well,
I mean, my
that's it.
ride is a test drive, and sometimes I'm pushing it back. That's my ride. Yeah.
Shakedown.
Right.
You know how that goes. You just pushed the car the other day.
Yes, you got me.
Well, we were looking. That's the funny story. So you know where Duplainville Road is, yeah. So we
Yeah.
were looking at possibly renting that farm. It's kind of like a farmette on Capitol Drive. You'd see it if you go over Capitol. Anyways, really like the place, and the problem is, Jess, a lot of the test rides I take, I am pushing them back. I mean,
Yeah,
true
the
story.
push-up,
Like
yeah.
I just like
It happens, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not pushing them down Duplainville Road. That's not happening. No, not
We've got a
good-
nice private road now at the shop.
Very private, so no one can see my fail.
And
There you
how
go.
long
Yeah.
does it typically take from start to finish for a build on average?
If I had no other work to do, I could do a build probably in 4 to 6 months. If it was just that bike, that's it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the time, but the problem is I'm a year out right now. So most builds are taking a year to 18 months
Yeah.
to do.
How many do you do at a time?
3 or 4 plus the
Because you're waiting on
service.
parts and you could be going.
No, I just, it's because I have ADHD. I can do that. I mean, true
Yeah.
story. Like, I have a couple people that come and help me, and they're like, how do you have multiple stuff going on at one time? Like, well,
We hear that every week.
Perfect.
I do. Like, it keeps me, there's a bittersweetness to it, because I look around, I've got 5 bikes on tables, and they're all, like, stagnant, half done. Like that. So there's days that are like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't even look at them. And then there's other days where like, okay, I've got a few minutes, I'm going to do this and this. And so it works well. But, and then with the service work, that is, we try to get that stuff in and out the same week if we can.
Especially right now because it's riding season.
Yeah.
So people want, they want to be on it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
That winter season, how you lecture me all the time.
Well,
Work has to be done in the winter season.
You want to take stuff apart in summer, though.
Okay, I got a bike and I wanted the tank to be painted, and he's like, well, that's a winter project. No kidding, it's a winter project. Like, come on now.
Well, no.
But I wanna do it
because then-
now.
I do want to do it now, but I realize it's a winter project.
Well, I mean, if you're going to throw me under the
Tell
bus for
me.
being late and everything that John Bagley does all the time. So you actually had the one bike, and then you're like, I want to paint the tank, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, you bought another bike.
I want to paint that bike, too.
Yeah. So did you tell him now you have 2 bikes?
I don't technically have the one. Get
Oh,
out of here.
okay.
Anyway, we
So
got to
kind-
keep this. We got to talk about.
We don't want to talk
something
about your
in a
history of the 8
minute. No,
classic cars
'cause-
that you went through in the last
Oh,
2
God.
years.
I-
But anyway,
I don't know if
Whatever.
that's a therapy session or a radio show.
Right?
That's
It's a fine
something
line.
totally else,
It's a
but
fine
yeah.
line. Well, how can they find you guys on social media and your website? Tell us the details on that.
Well, social media, it's going to be Instagram is probably our biggest platform, but that's going to be never_ending_cycles123. Our website is www.neverendingcycles.com, and we are on Facebook too. If you just Google or search Never Ending Cycles in Oconomowoc.
What do you think works the best for social media? You think Instagram works best?
For us, it does because it's pretty things, and people just sit and scroll and look
Yeah.
at pretty things on Instagram. I think Facebook is a little bit better, like interaction when we're actually having people reach out for service because that seems
Yeah.
to touch more of a local market. But our resto mods are all over the country because we can ship these bikes anywhere just about. So we definitely, I would say, our Instagram has a broader horizon for that. Yeah.
Nice.
What's the farthest one of the bikes has went to?
We've got one that needs to go to Canada. We're
Yeah.
still figuring out how to get it to her.
Long Beach probably is the
Yeah,
Beach?
it's the
Fun,
furthest.
fun.
Okay.
Just shipped 2 to Florida last week.
Okay.
Yeah. The Long Beach one we actually delivered ourselves. We decided we'd been dating just a few months. Business was going well. Let's jump in the car for 30 hours and see how we do. And we made it.
Well,
We survived.
Nobody
good.
died.
Nobody
Nobody
No,
died.
died.
we knew. We were like, yeah, you're the one.
we delivered it because about I don't know 3 or 4 weeks into the build, back when I got a build and I started working on it right away, I learned that he was the owner was a Green Beret, and I was like, well, that's cool. And he sent me his profile pic because we're talking on WhatsApp, and it looked just like the dude from Lone Survivor, full of fatigues. He was the picture was taken in Afghanistan. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
That's
I
really cool,
need
yeah.
to
Need to
meet
meet
you.
this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've become pretty good friends, but we decided that we're going to deliver this one. That's the only one I think I've ever delivered.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Local,
Okay.
maybe. So.
Yeah.
Well, with the time we have left, why don't you guys tell us about your upcoming benefit bags
Yeah.
fest?
So it's called Bags Fest, which is Beers and Gears for Cancer.
Oh, it's not short for Bagley?
It's not.
sorry.
Oh my
That's-
God!
I
Let's
thought that's how
not.
we got this interview.
Let's
I thought that's why they're
not.
here. Well, I guess I'm back out
Every
here
day
now.
is Bags Fest.
Look at you, yeah.
Anyway,
I'm as disappointed as you are.
Yeah. I'm out.
Sorry, John.
Yeah.
So the true meaning of Bags Fest, even though we'll get you your own T-shirt for that day, it's Beers and Gears for Cancer. So our shop is next door to Brewfinity Brewing, little local Oconomowoc brewer with great beers and great owners.
Okay.
And our garage doors basically both open up to a really huge parking lot and green area. And Ben and I, we've been to lots of bike shows and car shows, and we kind of have when we have our place, we're gonna just always dreaming of what that would look like. And our mutual bestie Sherry is a breast cancer survivor, and she was a recipient of something called a RAC, a Random Act of Kindness, from an organization called This Time Tomorrow. And we went to the gala, and we were just blown away at what they're doing. And it was created by local musicians. And we decided we had to do something to be part of it, and that we loved the gala so much because it was so stinking fun. We wanted to be there every year and be part of it. And I literally 2 days later, I was like, this is it. This is what we're doing. We're having a car show, a bike show, and we're going to benefit This Time Tomorrow. So we just kind of created this party with a purpose. So we have 4 bands lined up. We have some food trucks. We have a bags tournament as well, because if it's called Bags Fest, you should have a
gotta
bags
have it.
tournament, right?
Yeah.
And so that's all. And we have this event mostly on Facebook, but people can email us absolutely to get more information. We are absolutely open and wanting more cars and bikes and trucks to be part of the show. And we hope to tap into sort of the diversity that we have. Like if you go into our shop, we've got Harleys, we've got BMWs, we've got Kawasaki's, we've got it all. We want the cars to have that same reflection of let's bring it all. Bring your tuner, bring your old pickup truck, bring your muscle car, whatever it is. And the best way to enter is going to be to email us, which is just neverendingcycles0@gmail.com, and I can get people all of the information they need to register their vehicle for that too.
and this is Saturday, July 22nd.
That's correct. Yep. And it is at, honestly, because we're a newly established business, the best way to find that address is actually Google Brewfinity, and you'll find our address because, they're a little bit more established as far as maps is concerned. But yeah, it will go from 11 until 9 o'clock.
Wow, that is
Yep.
a long
Yep.
day.
There'll be a silent auction.
days, yeah.
It is silent auction, a raffle, all kinds of fun stuff.
And judging's at 4.
Judging is going to be at 4.
That was a concern. So a lot of people had I don't want to be there the whole day.
Right.
So we're not going to make people stay the whole time. And the last thing I'll say is the judges are local, and we don't. This isn't a 30-point inspection on did you build the best car. This is literally you will win based on what they think is cool.
Yep.
And so I think that's what we.
I like it,
yeah.
layman's
That's the easy way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of
Yes.
experience
Yeah.
doing it, and it's a lot harder than everybody thinks.
Yeah. for
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. Been part
Yeah.
of many of those.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just about it. Sorry, I got
That
distracted.
went really fast today.
I got distracted by your baby headphones on your big head. Why don't you take us home there,
See,
soldier?
This is what I'm
That's
downgraded to. Well, thanks for coming out. I wish I could talk more about a lot more stuff, but Jess will cut me off here. So,
Can.
Thanks
bad
for having
can.
us, you guys.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
Really
congrats
appreciate
on all
it.
the success and the marriage.
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, so it's still
Thank
good
you.
that you guys made it through everything and a business and stayed together. It's good.
Yeah.
We actually work together.
We
Well, they've
do.
been married a week.
Yeah, right. Well, that's
Let's
true.
calm down.
My
Married a
joke
week.
is we're the yin to each other's yang, and if we both show up as yin one day, we're in trouble.
Right.
I like
That's
it.
a good one. That's a good one. I like it. That's good.
Well, thanks so much for stopping, guys. We'll be sure to share your event on our Facebook page.
That'd be great.
Yeah, with all the contact info, we can look it up on Rev It Up with John and Jess and check it out from there.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank
See you.
Yep.